Hello everyone, this is my ranking of the Best Picture nominees from worst to best. Let's begin. Number 10 is, shocker, Amelia Perez, and it's not even close. Like, imagine being a musical with no good songs, the story is a complete mess, tonally it's all over the place. Nothing works. It takes a lot of bold swings, but every single swing doesn't work. The script and writing in general is actually awful. There's no nuance to any of the characters, and yeah, I could talk about this movie forever, but I'm gonna leave it at this. It's dead last for a multitude of reasons. Number 9 is gonna be Nickel Boys for me, which I know is probably a hot take, but while I admire its experimental nature, it really didn't click with me. I think the POV cinematography was interesting, but it got a bit nauseating and a bit old after a certain point, and it really kind of disconnected me from the overall story, which is a damn shame because it is a very good and important story to tell. I just was not a big fan of the execution personally. Okay, the rest of these movies I actually really like, so I could rearrange these in almost any way, minus like the top 2 or top 4, whatever. But number 8 is going to be Anora for me. I think it's a bit too long in places, not entirely a big fan of how it was filmed, and I feel like it didn't really stick with me as much as it did with other people. But still, I think it's a very funny movie at times. I think the acting is terrific, and the screenplay is one of the best of the year. Number 7 is Wicked, which was one of the biggest surprises of the year for me. I love the songs, I love the acting. Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande are terrific. I love their dynamic and everything. I'm really excited for part 2, and yeah, I was really impressed with this one. Number 6 is going to be Conclave. I think it has one of the best ensembles of the year. Everyone's terrific in it. The screenplay is sharp, the editing's sharp. It's an all-around really good movie. And number 5 is A Complete Unknown, which, as a big Bob Dylan fan, that's kind of why it's up this high also. But I also think it's a really good musical biopic, and I'm not usually a big fan of this kind of subgenre, but I think it does something interesting with it, and I think Timothée Chalamet is fantastic. The singing, the songs, everything is just perfection. Number 4 is The Brutalist, which the longer I sit with it, the more I actually really love it. And weirdly enough, for being as long as it is, I am kind of excited to see it again. And Adrian Brody gives probably the best performance of the year. Number 3 is I'm Still Here, which I think is definitely the most emotional movie of the year for me. I think it was terrifically made. It's an important story. It's really moving. Fernando Torres gives also probably the best performance of the year. Number 2 is the body horror movie, The Substance, which I am so happy this movie got as many nominations as it did. I think it's fantastic. I think it's funny. I think it's disturbing. The horror elements are some of the craziest I've ever seen in a movie, honestly. I think it's super stylized. All the performances are fantastic. Really, all around, I was just kind of blown away. Number 1 for me is easily Dune Part 2, which is, I think, Denis Villeneuve's magnum opus. Visually, it is like one of the best looking films I've ever seen in theaters. The same can be said about the sound. I think the story is just really good, and Chalamet's character arc in that movie is just, oh my gosh. Everything about that movie I just simply adore. I can't wait to see it again. It's not going to do very well at the Oscars, but it will do well in my heart.